Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking a step back from the endless noise of the outside world to take a deeply reflective look inward. We're going to examine a profoundly beautiful framework, one that actually promises to reorder the very geography of our hearts.
You know that feeling. It's a question that sneaks up on us in our quietest moments, isn't it? Why do we sometimes feel this echoing spiritual emptiness, even when our lives, on paper at least, seem completely full? I mean, we check all the boxes, we go through all the motions, but that inner peace we're promised, it just feels constantly out of reach.
To get to the bottom of this, we're diving into some truly profound source material. It's a study circle reflection compiled by Mir Ali Shah, which was shared on the Inner Horizon podcast. This material unpacks the timeless wisdom of Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani's 9th discourse from the book Jala al-Khawathir. And let me tell you, it is an absolute masterclass. It's an incredible roadmap for anyone genuinely seeking spiritual clarity.
All right, so let's get into it. The Sheikh hands us this brilliant framework for what we can call our inner economy. It starts with three very distinct layers of the self. The first is the nafs. The nafs is your lower self. It's the part of you that just wants things. And here's the really crucial key. You aren't supposed to starve it. The nafs is rightfully allotted a portion of this physical world. Eat, sleep, earn a living, marry, build your life. Let it have its portion. But, and this is a big but, do not let it run the household. It gets this world and literally only this world.
Then we move one layer deeper to the qalb, the heart. This is the part of us that intends. The Sheikh gives us strict instructions here. The qalb must be directed entirely past this world. Its anxiety shouldn't be about rent or promotions. Its anxieties should be the anxiety of someone who knows there is a final accounting coming. Its ultimate, singular hope must be anchored completely in the next life, in that final meeting with the divine.
And then we reach the Sir. This is your innermost being. And what is so profound about this inner sanctuary is just how sacred it is. The Sir is the untouched, absolute deepest chamber of the soul, and it is reserved exclusively for the Master. It is definitely not a playground for the nafs, and it's not a boardroom for the qalb to negotiate in. The entire core work of our spiritual life is simply refusing to lease this sacred chamber out to anyone or anything else.
But here's the devastating reality of our modern condition. In the original study circle, the teacher pointed out that most of us have completely inverted this divine distribution. Think about it. We give our deepest, most sacred sarar to something as incredibly shallow as our public reputation. We give our qalb, our heart, to our income and our bank accounts. And we leave our lowest self, our nafs, to dictate our prayer. We are literally using the absolute deepest part of ourselves to chase the most fleeting things imaginable. The Sheikh's teaching is an urgent wake-up call to flip this back, to restore our inner economy to its proper, divine order.
But look, fixing this distribution isn't exactly a walk in the park. Because the minute we try, we hit a major inner roadblock. If we're supposed to just let go of this world and give our nafs only its basic, bare minimum portion, why is the world so incredibly beautiful? Why is it so magnetic?
Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani addresses this head-on with a really striking, slightly terrifying image. He says, "Do not approach this world with confidence, for it is actually a serpent in beautiful disguise." Notice how he doesn't waste a single breath arguing that the world isn't charming. He completely grants the beauty. But he's warning us that it's a real disguise, hiding a real serpent. And there's this beautiful little side note from the source material. The serpent only actually bites the people who try to embrace it. The world flees from the one who has stopped chasing it.
Which leads us to a realization that is honestly a little scary when it comes to our own inner state. When we start practicing this detachment, say after a really spiritually fulfilling Ramadan or a dedicated period of dhikr, our nafs finally seems to calm down. But the Sheikh warns us, beware the tame nafs. You absolutely cannot be taken in by the apparent sleep of a predatory animal. A quiet lower self that just nods along is so often just a predator gathering its strength for the next ambush. It's just waiting for a tiny insult, a minor frustration, or a sudden temptation. The work of guarding your inner economy, it is never completely finished.
So this brings up a really fascinating question. And actually, it's kind of a huge marketing problem in modern spirituality. We are constantly sold the spiritual life as this immediate fast track to bubbly peace and endless unbroken joy. So why does true spiritual progress so often feel heavy with sorrow?
The Discourse drops a heavy truth here that completely silences the room. The Sheikh says you must be prepared to experience plenty of grief and sorrow, and very little in the way of mirth and gladness. He reminds us that it was exactly like this for the prophets.
Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, went through intensely long periods of sadness and deep reflection. The texture of the long, middle stretch of the spiritual path isn't a constant high. It is a deeply refining sorrow.
So here is the real takeaway you need to internalize. Grief isn't an interruption of your path. Grief is the path's curriculum. Those small daily Karbalas we all have to walk through, they aren't random accidents. Allah sends difficulty to emergency commission the heart, propelling the patient seeker toward true nearness, or curb, to the divine. Your happiness as a believer just isn't located in the temporary things of this world. It's located entirely in the certitude of your faith arriving at your Lord's door.
Okay, so understanding this conceptually is one thing, right? But how do we actually do this in real life? How do we practically pull ourselves out of the clutter and distraction of modern life and stop embracing the serpent?
Well, the Sheikh gives us a practical ladder to climb, the ladder of abstinence. It has 3 rungs. Rung 1, haram, you must abandon the forbidden. That's baseline, that's the foundation. Rung 2 is where practically all of us get stuck. Mubah. These are the morally neutral time fillers, the endless scrolling, the diversions, the half-justified little indulgences that just eat up our modern lives. We have to start actively trimming these. And then rung 3, halal mutlaq, well, that is the territory of the saints. They leave even the completely lawful enjoyments behind because their hearts are entirely occupied by the beloved. Now, we might not be at rung 3, but we need to know this ladder exists so we at least know which direction we are supposed to be climbing.
Now, as we try to climb this ladder, we naturally look for help. We go to therapists, mentors, retreat leaders, teachers. But listen to how Prophet Dawood, peace be upon him, beautifully frames this. "O my God, I went to the physicians of your servants, and all of them guided me to you." Every single legitimate intermediary on this path will eventually point beyond themselves. When your heart finally touches the Lord, He becomes your ultimate physician, your tabib, and your ultimate intimate friend, your anis.
But there is one massive, remarkable exception to this rule of intermediaries. The Sheikh explains that all created beings are veils between you and the real. Except for the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, he is not a veil, he is the doorway. This is exactly why invoking blessings upon him, salawat, isn't just some decorative extra credit in this tradition, it is structural. It is literally how you approach the door.
And if you're feeling inspired to lead others to that door, hold on a second. The Sheikh delivers a very firm yet tender warning here. Arm yourself before you preach. In an age where literally anyone can claim spiritual authority with a viral thumbnail and a quick post, the standard remains exactly what it was 900 years ago. Become before you teach. Because if you speak without having done the gritty inner work, your sword is made of wood and your arrows are just matchsticks. The early years of the path are for the private room, definitely not the public square.
All of this, the inner economy, the detachment, the sorrow, the discipline, it all comes together in this mind-blowing insight that was discussed in the study circle around the time of Eid al-Adha. When Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, was asked to sacrifice his beloved son Ismail, he went to the place, laid his son down, and then he tied a blindfold over his own eyes before bringing the knife down. Why? Why would he do that?
The answer is just so profoundly moving. A lover cannot slaughter what he loves with his eyes open. The depth of Ibrahim's love was so immense that, with open eyes, his physical hands simply would not have obeyed the command. That blindfold wasn't an act of cruelty or avoidance. It was a profound mercy. It was the mercy of being temporarily separated from his own sight so that the ultimate sacrifice could actually be completed for his Lord.
And here is the big lesson for us. You and I, we can't really blindfold ourselves. We can't voluntarily close our eyes to the deep attachments our nafs is obsessed with. We negotiate, we delay, we find excuses. So the blindfold actually has to be tied for us, and the hand that ties it is the trusted hand of a spiritual guide, a murshid. That is what true spiritual allegiance really is. It's consenting to be temporarily blindfolded so your deepest attachments can finally be released without your lower self watching and pulling the knife away at the last second. The real sacrifice is the willingness to not look.
There's this absolutely beautiful Urdu couplet shared in the original study circle that captures this surrender perfectly. Tera dar mil gaya murshid, sahara ho to aisa ho. Tere tuklo pe palte hain, guzara ho to aisa ho. It translates to, I have arrived at your abode, my guide. This is the kind of support I need. We are fed by your scraps. This is the kind of livelihood I need. The true seeker doesn't show up asking for a throne. They just ask for a spot at the threshold. Because they know that even the scraps of the beloved are infinitely better than the grandest feasts of anyone else.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to ask yourself this provocative question. Look honestly at your own inner economy. Is it inverted? Are you chasing the serpent, hoping it won't bite? Are you avoiding the sorrow that is actually meant to be your curriculum? And ultimately, are you ready to let the blindfold be tied so you can finally sacrifice what your lower self absolutely refuses to release?
Let's close out with a gentle, grounding reflection. Allahumma antal tabib, antal anis. O Allah, you are the physician, you are the intimate friend. May our nafs be kept safely on the leash of this world, may our qalb remain firmly turned toward the hereafter, and may our sir be reserved entirely for him alone. And when the time finally comes to bring the knife down on what we love most, may we be sent the trusted hand that ties the blindfold. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep reflecting and keep looking inward.